Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We'll have some laughs this hour, and then we'll head out to the west, and then we'll head back and see what's going on with Claudia and the baby. And that's all up. An episode of Kiss and Make Up, a summer series starring Milton Berle that's better forgot, but I think you'll get a snicker or two out of it. We'll head back almost 90 years to an episode of Fibber McGee and Molly. Will Rogers in a program, Rogers of the Gazette, as he plays a newspaper editor. And Raymond Burr in Fort Laramie. And then we'll wrap it all up, as I said, with Claudia. That's all straight ahead. On this Monday, 15th day of July, 197th day of the year, 169 days till we get to 2025. Near St. Louis, Missouri, on this date in 1806, Army Lieutenant Zebulon Pike began an expedition from Fort Bellefontaine to explore the West. Georgia became the last of the former Confederate states to be readmitted to the Union in 1870. In 1916 in Seattle, William Boeing and George Conrad Westervelt incorporated Pacific Aero Products. And yes, it would later be renamed Boeing. That was incorporated on the state in 1916. 1929, the first weekly radio broadcast of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir radio show Music and the Spoken Word, and it continues to this day. Continental Airlines began operations on this date in 1934. 20 years later, the first flight of the Boeing 707, the first jet passenger airliner, and it's interesting that it was on the anniversary of the founding of its original company. 1959, the steel strike of 1959 began, leading to significant importation of foreign steel for the first time in U.S. history. Isn't it interesting that labor caused some of the problems of foreign trade that hurt them as bad as anybody else? Now, at the Democrat National Convention on this date in 1960, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, then a senator, accepted the nomination for president and at the same time laid out his plans for the new frontier.
We stand today on the edge of a new frontier, the frontier of the 1960s, the frontier of unknown opportunities and perils, the frontier of unfilled hopes and unfilled threats. I'm asking each of you to be pioneers towards that new frontier. My call is to the young in heart, regardless of age, to the stout in spirit, regardless of party, to all who respond to the scriptural call, be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, neither be dismayed. For courage, not complacency, is our need today. Leadership, not salesmanship. And the only valid test of leadership is the ability to lead and lead vigorously.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy won the election by 0.2% of the popular vote. At the Democrat National Convention 16 years later in 1976, Ron Kovic, a paralyzed Vietnam veteran, took the nation by storm with his speech.
I am the living death, the Memorial Day on wheels. I am your Yankee Doodle Dandy, your John Wayne come home, your 4th of July firecracker exploding in the grave. 12 years ago, when I was 18 years old, I left Massapequa, Long Island, and joined the United States Marines. I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to be a good American.
Kovic's story would be told 13 years later by Oliver Stone and Tom Cruise in Born on the 4th of July. In Miami on this date in 1997, serial killer Andrew Philip Cunan gunned down Gianni Versace outside his home. In 2002, the American Taliban, John Walker Lindh, pled guilty to supplying aid to the enemy and for possession of explosives during the commission of a felony. In 2002 also, Anti-Terrorism Court of Pakistan gave the death sentence to British-born Ahmed Omar Sheikh and life terms to 3 other suspects in the murder of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. AOL Time Warner disbanded Netscape Communications Corporation on this date in 2003. The Mozilla Foundation, established on the same day, they maintained the successor to the Netscape browser, Firefox. And in 2006, Twitter launched. In 2012, South Korean rapper Psy released his hit Gangnam Style. Passing away on this date in history, Ponce de Leon, the explorer who ironically died on his birthday. General John Pershing also passing away on this date. Musician-producer Bill Justice, his song Honky Tonk. Actor Bert Comby, probably best known for his roles in game shows. Also, the founder of Hooters of America, Robert H. Brooks. Actress-singer Celeste Holm. And film and television actor Martin Landau. Now, birthdays on this date, in addition to Ponce de Leon, whom we just mentioned, was the Dutch artist Rembrandt, also the man who wrote The Visits from St. Nicholas, educator, author Clement Clark Moore, cowboy singer Cowboy Copas, also football player, actor Alex Karras, Cliff Barnes on Dallas, Ken Kercheval, and actor Jan Michael Vincent. Jan Michael Vincent, born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
A lot of birthdays today, and I should have pulled out some music for some of this. John Wayne's second son, Patrick Wayne, 85 years old today. The uncle of the pro wrestler known as Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron, Mil Mascaras, the man of 1,000 masks, 82 years old today. Linda Ronstadt, 78 years old today. She's no longer singing. Progressive supranuclear palsy has stolen her singing voice. Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, pro wrestler, and a man who never met a conspiracy theory he didn't like. Ventura, 73 years old today. I love the nightlife. I've got the boogie. Alicia Bridges, 71 today. Supermodel actress Kim Alexis is 64. From 8 is Enough and Charles in Charge, Willie Ames, 64 today. For the man who won an Academy Award for The Last King of Scotland, Forrest Whitaker, 63. From Red Sonja, Bridget Nielsen, 61. From Malcolm and Eddie, an undercover brother, Eddie Griffith, 56. From the original 90210, Brian Austin Green is 51. Fluffy, Gabrielle Iglesias is 48. From Spin City and Once Upon a Time, Lana Parrilla is 47. And young Sheldon himself, Ian Armitage, even though he's canceled at the age of 16. God, being unemployed at that young an age, well, hopefully he'll get some more good roles. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 15th day of July as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
we baked you a birthday cake. If you get a tummy ache and you moan and groan and woe, don't forget we told you so. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Make a wish, dear, and blow out the candles.
Here they go.
And we're going to start off 78 years ago, July 15, 1946, Milton Berle in the program Kiss and Make Up, a summer series. And that's up next here, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on a Monday.
Congress is poised to pass a bill to keep AM radio in cars, but time is running out. 82 million Americans risk losing the news, sports, talk, traffic, and vital emergency information they rely on. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to pass this bill now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
And I stress this so much because I still, even though we took this program for a variety of reasons off radio and took it to strictly a podcast, I still believe in radio, particularly for breaking news and information and local news, which podcasts cannot do as well as radio, live and immediate. Kiss and Makeup was a summer series in which Burle presided over a mock court created by writer-producer Cy Howard, the man who did My Friend Irma and Life with Luigi. And yeah, the show's not great, but it's Milton Berle. And Burle could his later show, his 1947 show, even though it didn't have much of a ratings. Radio historian Elizabeth McLeod described his 1947 show as one of the forgotten bright spots of post-war radio. This is not a bright spot of post-war radio. Panel show Kiss and Makeup starring Milton Berle from 78 years ago, July 15th, 1946.
Having business with Columbia's Kiss and Makeup Court of Petty Grievances on this night of July 15th, 1946, draw near and ye shall be heard. Judge Milton Berle presiding.
My husband throws his clothes all over the house.
My wife always makes me wash the dishes.
My boyfriend is always playing practical jokes on me.
You're driving me crazy.
Yes, tonight, petty grievances like these will be tried in the new Court of Justice, Columbia's Court of Petty Grievances, where the petty thing is the important thing. On the basis of letters which you, the listeners, send us, you will be invited to appear in person before an impartial jury selected from our studio audience, and you'll be given a chance to air your grievances against each other. Tonight, Kiss and Makeup's Court of Petty Grievances will award cash damages up to $600. And to make sure that each case receives a fair trial, presiding over our Court of Petty Grievances is His Honor, that fantastic judge, Milton Berle.
Oh, this weather's too hot to wear a wig. Order in the court. If anybody laughs, I'll have to clear out the court. If nobody laughs, I'll have to clear out myself. Yes, the judge is in great shape tonight.
Judge Burle, tell me, have you been reading up on your law books?
Indeed, I have, bailiff. I just read a 600-page law book from cover to cover in 5 minutes.
Your Honor, how can you read a 600-page book in only 5 minutes?
The pages were stuck together. I mean, it's the sticky weather.
You know, Judge, I sometimes wonder if you ever really went to law school.
Bailiff, come here, on the QT, come here. Keep this quiet, but between you and me and the lamppost, I don't know so much.
Judge Burle.
Yeah?
Between you and me, that lamppost has been talking.
You may joke, bailiff, but someday I'll surprise you. I'll really go places. I'll wind up a Supreme Court judge. Gee, it must be fun winding up a Supreme Court judge. I wonder how often they run down. That's a silly thought, isn't it?
Judge Burle, do you really think you'll get to the Supreme Court someday?
And why not? And there's no reason why I shouldn't get to Washington. I'm a human dynamo. I have an electric personality. And that's not good.
Why not?
Washington is D.C. and I'm A.C. I mean it. I might blow my top. And what's the use?
Oh, now, don't be discouraged, Your Honor. There's no reason why you shouldn't realize your ambitions. You've got the determination of a bulldog, the loyalty of a sheepdog, and the courage of a St. Bernard. Judge, what do you say to that?
Well, enough of this small talk. Bailiff, call the first petty grievance case.
Before I do, Your Honor, do you want to address the jury?
I certainly do. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, anything you say will be held against you. Address the jury. Oh, yes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected impartially from our audience to serve on jury duty in our Court of Petty Grievances. And remember that the cases that you will hear tonight are real cases concerning real people. In reward for your services, each one of you will receive $5 when the court adjourns. A neat little figure. I mean the second juror on the left. All right, bailiff, let's have the first case.
The case of Mr. Schaeffer versus Mrs. Schaeffer. Step up to the bar and meet the judge.
How do you do, Mr. and Mrs. Schaeffer?
Good evening, Judge.
Where are you folks from?
Mid-Manhattan.
In Manhattan, I see. And may I ask you, how did you happen to come to our Court of Petty Grievances?
We were lucky enough to have 2 tickets for your initial show, and we liked it so much. And then the request was made from the stage that anyone had a grievance to write a letter, which I did. And we were summoned before your court.
I see. Is this a true grievance?
Definitely.
Yes, Your Honor.
It is. Well, we just want to be sure of that. Now, what is the grievance, and who has it? Wait a minute.
I have it, sir.
You have it, Mr. Schaeffer?
Yes, sir.
Will you please express it to the court and to the jury?
Your Honor, my wife has a mania for moving the furniture around. When I come home in the evening, my armchair is not where it should be. The piano is moved around. The bookcase is taken from the living room and put into the foyer. Yeah. When I look for the armchair, there's no armchair. I just have to sit down on the floor.
I see. You're afraid someday you'll go to sleep in your bed and wake up in the bathtub. Is that right? Mrs. Schaeffer, what were you going to say?
If my key didn't fit my apartment, I wouldn't know I was in the right apartment.
I suppose not. Now, Mrs. Schaeffer, is this all true?
Yes, Your Honor, it is true.
Well, may I ask, and I think you should tell the court, why do you like to move the furniture?
Well, I think it's a wife's duty to make the home attractive and interesting for her husband. And I read all the decorators' magazines, and I go to all the exhibitions of furniture. And when I come home, my ideas, I try to incorporate them in my home.
I see what you mean.
And furthermore, Anna, my husband is an inveterate smoker, and he burns holes in the carpet. And when I have to change the carpet, I change the wallpaper.
He burns holes in the wallpaper?
No, he burns holes in the carpet. But then, after all, you know, Your Honor, the colors must harmonize.
Oh, sure.
And the wallpaper and the carpet, and then the furniture has to be changed, and that's how that happens.
Well, it's not bad to have your furniture moved around as long as the finance company isn't doing the moving. Mrs. Schaeffer, is it? What style furniture? Would you tell the court what style furniture do you have in
Well,
your
my
home?
living room is English, and my dining room is English, and the bedroom is French, Your Honor.
Not the same language, huh? I don't care much for that period furniture. You miss one payment and period. Now, when did you first notice, Mr. Schaeffer, that your wife had this habit of moving the furniture around?
Well, this started on our honeymoon when we went to Niagara Falls.
You mean she didn't try to rearrange Niagara Falls, did she?
She didn't try to rearrange...
Well, Mr. Schaeffer, may I ask, how long are you married?
It's going to be 27 years.
And she's been pushing furniture around?
She hasn't been pushing it around, but she's been changing it around. Now, when we went on our honeymoon at the Niagara Falls, the minute we got into the room...
You saw the falls, no doubt.
I didn't even get a chance.
Yeah, she was pushing the furniture around.
She started to push the furniture around, and before the 2 weeks were up, Judge, I really don't know whether I was on a honeymoon or attending a furniture exhibition.
Well, Mr. Schaeffer, do your friends ever comment about your wife's habit?
Well, we had a card game where the boys generally come over to see me about every Friday night, and we have a card game. One night they come over here recently to play cards, and the furniture was so rearranged in the living room, I had to take the boys into the bedroom to play cards. And then as I go down to sit down, I expect the chair there. There's no chair, and I go boom. So I said to my wife, honey, please do me a favor.
Yeah?
Move all the furniture all over the house, whatever you want to do, but leave my armchair where it is.
You have an armchair?
I have
what
an
kind of chair is it?
A Morris chair.
Well, maybe Morris has got it tonight. I had to get that joke in.
Now, Judge, my wife promised me definitely.
Yes?
She said, when we come here tonight, if the jury will unanimously decide in my favor, she'll never move another piece of furniture.
Well, all right. Now, you sound like a lawyer. That's not your business, are you?
No, sir.
What business
I'm
are you
not. I'm in the ladies ready to wear.
Well, I think it's about time ladies are ready to wear. Well, evidence is presented. The case now goes to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have a clear-cut issue. And here it is. If a man's home is his castle and a woman's place is in the kitchen, who put the banana in the refrigerator? All right, the case now goes to the jury. All those in favor of Mr. Schaeffer, raise your right hand, please. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A unanimous decision. You win $120. $120, Mr. Schaeffer. Now, look. Well, I think that you swayed the jury. Now, Mrs. Schaeffer, being that Mr. Schaeffer swayed the whole jury and won the whole case outright, do you promise never to do that again?
Yes, Your Honor, I faithfully promise not to do so unless he asks me to.
He's not going to ask you either.
Your Honor, all right, may I thank the jury?
Yes, you don't need to thank the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you very much.
Kiss and make up. Go ahead, kiss and make up. There they are. I did pretty good, didn't I? Bailiff, how do you think I handled that case? Huh?
Judge Burle, I must give you credit. You sure can handle these human relations cases.
Well, Bailiff, I've always been interested in human relations. Sometimes I wish mine were. Sometimes I wish mine were. Must be some way of telling that joke and getting a laugh. I mean that.
Judge Burle,
yeah.
Did you ever handle any criminal cases?
Oh, naturally. I once handled a case where a man was accused of stealing $17,500, and I got a nice fee for winning that case.
What did you get?
$17,500. Bailiff, stop kidding around. Call the next case.
The case of Mr. Smith versus Mrs. Smith. Step right up to the bar and meet the judge.
How do you do? Would you step right over to the bar, into the microphone? Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Well, we have a very grand couple here. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that is your name? Smith?
Right. Yes, sir. That's our name.
Very odd name, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's a very lovely name, too. Is that your real name?
Yes, sir.
And where are you folks from?
Winter Park, Florida.
Winter Park, Florida.
That's right.
There is really a coincidence. Winter Park, Florida. I come from Central Park, New York. You know, housing shortage. Tell me, what brings you folks all the way up to New York?
Well, we are up here celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary.
50 weddings, well. Isn't that right? 50 years you're married. You're sure getting your money's worth out of your marriage license. Now, what brings you on your 50th anniversary to our court of petty grievances, Mrs. Smith?
Well, this grievance I would like to settle after 50 years of married life, and always have been known as an ideal couple.
Yes, I know.
My husband is just bringing this up at this time.
I see.
And I just don't know. Maybe he wants to.
Well, all right. We'll ask Mr. Smith. You have the grievance?
I have the grievance, yes,
Would
sir.
Would you please state it to the
Yes, sir.
court?
My wife makes me do the shopping.
Yes?
And,
Is that
of course,
all?
it's embarrassing that I have to push a baby carriage around a supermarket trying to find scarce articles.
Now, let me straighten out this petty grievance for the jury. You say that your petty grievance is that your wife makes you do the shopping? You mean, did she make you carry the bags and bundles and everything?
Right, yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, you feel as if Mrs. Smith wanted somebody to carry a bundle, she should have married a mailman. Is that right? Mr. Smith, what is your business? What business?
I'm retired.
Oh, you're retired?
Yes, sir.
I want to see you after the show. You're retired, huh?
Yes, sir.
And she's trying to tire you out, is that right? Mrs. Smith, why do you make your husband accompany you on these
Well,
shopping
I
trips?
tell you, he really is making a mountain out of a molehill, I think. I don't always insist upon his coming.
Yeah.
And he doesn't carry too many bundles. Ever so often, he has just a few to carry, not too large.
Yeah.
And I feel that it wouldn't be very nice to see his wife going along with a lot of bundles and he just walking along idly.
Yeah. How long have you been making him carry these bundles?
Not so very long. He insists upon a lengthy time, but it really isn't so.
Not more than 50 years, Your Honor.
Well, now, Mr. Smith, you say you come from
Winter Park,
Florida, huh?
That's correct.
Well, there's such a thing known down in the southern part of our states that they have a southern chivalry. Don't you feel as if that's your duty to do that for your wife?
Well, Southern chivalry wouldn't carry bundles.
I think they would.
Well,
I think a chivalrous gentleman always carries
They
a
do.
lady's
Well,
bundle.
listen, in fact, I got an uncle who's a southern planter. He's an undertaker. Now, Mr. Smith, how long has this thing been going on? You say 50 years?
50 years, yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, do you buy many things when you go shopping?
Yes, quite a few.
Such as?
Well, such as food and, of course, clothes. I have to go for
You
clothes.
don't make him try on your clothes for you.
No, but he has very good taste, and then he is a pretty good scout. He's rather liberal when I go to buy clothes, more so than I am.
He seems to be a very kind-looking gentleman. How old are you, Mr. Smith?
69.
69. And how old are you?
21 and over.
Over 20? Well, all right. You don't feel like telling us. That's wonderful. I hope my wife and I look like you two when we reach your age. Now, the evidence is presented. The case now goes to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the problem here seems very, very clear. The problem here seems very, very clear. Mrs. Smith wants her husband to go shopping with her, but should Mr. Smith be left holding the bag? All right, now let's take the vote. All those in favor of Mr. Smith, raise your right hand. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hands. Well, this is sort of a split decision. Tell you what we're going to do here at the court. Court of Petty Grievance, we're going to give you each $60. All right? We'll even it up. We're going to give you each $60. Now, you've been married for how long?
50 years, 4 months.
Well, I don't think you should go through any more of these petty grievances.
I hope not.
You promise not to let him carry? Because he,
no, I won't ask him to carry another
He's
one.
such a nice-looking man and everything.
He is.
Why don't, all right, kiss and make up. Let me see how you kissed years ago. There we are. Aren't they a wonderful couple, huh? Married 50 years and still sticking together.
Well, Judge Burl, married people should stick together.
You know, I'm that way too, Bailiff.
Yeah.
Whenever I go walking with my wife, people always say, Joyce sure is stuck with Burl. They're only kidding, of course.
Judge Burl, what do you think makes for happy marriages?
Well, I don't know. Bailiff, I think every marriage, if it's to be a happy marriage, must have two things. A bride and a groom. Unless one of the couple is a bachelor. Then it doesn't matter. Bailiff, I now declare a temporary recess in the court. Are the court stenographers present?
Present, Your Honor.
All right, Murphy sisters, present your notes.
Here are our notes, all typed up neat. We'll knock them to you with a solid beat. Got no diamond, got no pearl. Still, I think I'm a lucky girl. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. Got no mansion, got no yacht. Still, I'm happy with what I've got. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. Sunshine gives me a lovely day. Moonlight gives me the Milky Way. Got no checkbooks, got no bank. Still, I'd like to express my thanks. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. And with the sun in the morning and the moon in the evening, I'm all right. Sunshine gives me a lovely day. Moonlight gives me the Milky Way. No checkbooks, no bank. Still, I'd like to express my thanks. Sun in the morning, moon at night. I ask you what could be nicer. Baby, believe me, I mean what I say. I'm doing all right.
Well done, court stenographers. You know, Bailiff, it's a little inconvenient by having 3 stenographers.
Inconvenient, Judge? Why?
I only have 1 lap. Keep falling off. All right, Bailiff, call the next case, please.
The case of Mrs. Lensence versus Mr. Lensence. Step up to the bar and meet the judge.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I listened to a very big scream from the people in our courtroom. I know what they screamed at now. I see you have a cute little dog there, huh?
Yes, sir. That's my Peggy.
That's your Peggy.
I know.
Well, it's a very adorable dog, but you brought it into the courtroom. Has it got anything to do with the case?
Yes, sir. This is my principal witness, my one and only witness.
Oh, this is the witness?
Yes,
well,
sir.
Let me see. What kind of a dog is it?
It's a wire-haired fox terrier.
I see. Listens to radio programs, too? What does she listen to? Bulldog Droman? Drooman? I made it up. But who, and I forget about it, too. Who has the grievance here in this case?
I have the grievance, Hannah.
Mr. and Mrs.?
Lansons.
Lansons, I see.
That's right.
And will you please explain, Mrs. Lansons, what's the grievance, please?
Well, my husband spent too much time with his dog instead of me.
He spends too much time with the dog instead of you.
Just a slight exaggeration.
The dog is always first, and I am always second.
I see. And that is your petty grievance, that your husband spends more time with the dog than he does with you.
Prove it.
Now, you have a very charming accent, Mrs. Lansons. Is that right?
I am not, I am French. I am from Belgium.
Belgian?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful, I see. I speak a little French myself. Savoir-faire. Savoir-faire. English translation, subway fare. Now, I want to, this is a very, very wonderful combination, but I want to know how did you come to meet each other, you two?
You want me to tell you, Judge?
Yes, I'd like you to.
Well, I was lieutenant with the 8th Infantry Division over in Europe, and I came in on a 3-day pass, or leave, rather, and the funny part about it is that on the last day, I had about 6 hours left, I visited this small cafe. I had to meet somebody else there, not my wife, and I took one look at her, and I guess that did it, and here we are.
You're a war bride, is that right?
Yes, I am a war bride.
So many war brides. How did you guys find time to fight? How long... Now, I want to... May I ask you something? How long have you been married?
We are married a year, but I am only in the States since 6 weeks.
7
married to
6
a
weeks.
foreign girl, and he loves his dog. Sounds like a Lend-Leash marriage. I see you're kissing the dog.
She's a little nervous. My wife is here and watching her, and she won't kiss
you're
me.
Kissing the dog.
Yes, I can do that too, you know, but he don't give me a chance.
Let me see now. All right, Mrs. Lanson, will you tell us again about your grievance? Now, you say that... will you explain it to the court, please?
Well, in the morning when my husband leave home for work, he fool around with his dog, start to kiss him, and forget to kiss me.
Yeah?
At night time when he come home, his first hello is for Peggy, naturally. And fool around and, you know, bring him some candies and everything. And I am waiting for a kiss. Sometimes I have to remind him.
To kiss you?
Yes, to kiss me.
Well, that's not like the old days. You didn't have to remind him years ago. Did you? Did he ever bring you flowers or anything?
Yes, the first time when we were married, he brought me flowers and
now
candies.
Now he brings you candle
but
ration
now it's candies for
dog
them.
food. I see. Well, you know the old saying, I love you, I love my wife, but oh, you dog. I loused that up. All right, now, I see evidence. Evidence is presented. Now, the case goes to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is really a very rare case. We have before us an example of a woman who would actually prefer to lead a dog's life. I want you to come up with a fair and square deal. The dog is jumping around so cutely. Would you, all those in favor of the lady, raise your right hand. Oh, I see. Another unanimous decision. Mr. Lensons, is it?
That's
you
right.
lost your case, and you won your case. You 12 in the jury. You win $120. Now, thank you the jury. I think you should no more grievances now. Fair trial. You had a very fair trial, and Mrs. Lensons won the case. I think you should kiss the dog. I'm getting mixed up. You get me so nervous here. Kiss each other and make up. Kiss and make up. The other side. What a cute dog. You know, bailiff, everyone should get a dog that matches his personality.
A dog that matches his personality?
Sure. For instance, General Jimmy Doolittle should get himself an Airedale. Walter Pigeon should get himself a bird dog. Jack Benny should get himself a Scotty. And for Sinatra,
yes,
Bloodhound. Bailiff, let us not dilly-dally. Call the next case.
The case of Mr. Gajewski versus Mrs. Gajewski. Step up to the bar and meet the judge.
Gajewski and Gajewski. Yes. I see. And where are you folks from?
Newark, New Jersey, sir.
Talk into the mic, please.
Newark, New Jersey, sir.
Newark, New Jersey. That's wonderful. That's a coincidence, because I have an uncle who lives in Denver, Colorado. how did you folks happen to hear about our kiss and makeup court?
Well, we heard the first radio program, and we thought it was very swell, and I had a petty grievance, so I wrote a letter, and you summoned me to appear to court and settle our grievance.
Well, Mr. Gayeski, what business are you in?
I work for the Worthington Pump.
The Worthington?
Harrison, New Jersey.
Harrison, New Jersey. This grievance that you have, it's a petty grievance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, who has the grievance?
I have you, sir.
You have, sir. Would you state it to the jury?
Well, Your Honor, my grievance is that my wife wakes me up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and tells me to get my baby a glass of water while she sleeps, and I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. This way, she lays just in bed.
Yeah.
And I can't see that. Her waking me up to get the baby a glass of water.
That's your petty grievance?
Yes, sir.
You have a baby. And how old is the baby?
2 years old, sir.
2 years old. And she wakes you up to get the baby
it's
some
a he,
water.
Your Honor.
Oh, what did you say?
It's a he, Your Honor. It's Edward Jr.
Oh, the baby's Junior?
Yes, sir.
Absorbing. How absorbing? Absorbing Junior. All right, don't rub it in. Now, look, the baby is Edward Jr. And now your complaint, Mr. Gayeski, is that your wife wakes you up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get the baby some water.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? And, Mrs. Gayeski, tell the jury more about your grievance.
Well, the baby gets up real early in the morning, and I have to give him a bath and fix the meat, and I have to wash him and everything, clean the house, and go up and down the steps, and I'm awful tired. And my husband, he stays out late at night. He doesn't care what time he comes in. He's not tired in the morning.
Well, occasionally, sir.
You do?
Yeah, but he's not tired when he gets up in the morning.
Hold on, you can sleep till 10, 11 o'clock. I can't. I got to go to work 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, do you feel it's a wife's duty? It's your wife's duty to get up for the baby?
That's right, sir. She don't get up and fix me no breakfast.
Yeah, so you told me you don't want me getting up for the breakfast.
All right, you should compromise.
Wouldn't it have been easier if you had twins? You both could get up in the middle of the night. Well, who takes care of the baby? Who does it?
I do, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Well, this is a very difficult case for the jury. So far, from what I've heard, it seems to me that the one who has the real petty grievance in this case is the baby. I mean, I'll tell you what, in order to give the jury a clear idea as to what goes on in your house at night, let us, for example, react a typical night in the household of the Gayeskis. Is that all right?
All right,
yes, sir.
Now, look, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let me see. I'll be the baby, all right? You mind?
Yes, sir, but I think I have a complaint to make.
Why?
I think my baby's much prettier.
Yeah, but I got more teeth. All right, now look, I'll tell you, I want you to both act like you always do at home. And I know that you folks are not actors, you know what I mean?
That's right.
But will you do your best? All right, and I'll be the 2-year-old baby, and I'll start. Harry Salter, sorry to wake you up. Give me a little rockabye baby music, will you? I'll start, see?
Darling.
What do you want?
Wake up. The baby's crying.
You wake me up just to get the baby a glass of water.
I'm tired.
You're tired. I want some water. The alarm clock will go off for 3 hours, and I gotta get the... I want the water.
Well, after all, I'm tired, too.
I'm thirsty. I gotta get up at 6 o'clock and work all the way. And you can just sleep till 10 o'clock.
What am I, a camel that's jumping out?
Yeah, but after all, I walk up and down the steps all the time.
Who cares who walks?
Well, you can sleep in the afternoon if you want to.
I changed my mind. I want to malt it. Thank you very, very much, Mr. The case now goes to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this whole case boils down to a matter of business economics, and I'll explain. The mother demands that her sleep be an asset. The father insists that getting up at night is a liability, and all the baby wants is a quick turnover. All right, come up with a decision for the man or the lady. I see 1, 2, 3. This is for the man. Who is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mr. Gayeski, you win. You win $80. Kiss and make up. Bailiff, any more cases on the calendar?
No, not until next week, Your Honor, at which time Columbia's Kiss and Makeup program will convene its court of petty grievances to judge and award cash damages up to $600. Now, if any of you listeners wish to appear before our Kiss and Makeup court, just write us a letter telling us about your petty grievance against a specific person. Address your letter to Kiss and Make Up, Columbia Broadcasting System, New York, 22, New York. And now, here's His Honor, Judge Milton Berle.
Bailiff, come here. I want to tell you a little secret.
A secret?
Yeah, this morning, see, I decided to practice a little, so I sneaked into the courtroom, pretended I was on trial, and for 6 hours I defended myself before the jury.
Well, how did you make out?
Where can I raise $10,000 bail? Oh, there. Bailiff, that's all the business we have tonight, so until next Monday night, court's adjourned.
Kiss and Makeup is a Columbia feature production created and directed by Cy Howard. Fred Utel speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Not his best work, but, for a summer series, it wasn't bad at all. Let's see. Milton Berle, Kiss and Makeup, 78 years ago, July 15th, 1946, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We get back to crime tomorrow with episodes of Dangerous Assignment, Boston Blackie, I Was a Communist for the FBI, The Whistler, and Superman. But up next, yes, Fibber McGee and Molly.
This is Lauren Green with a message from the U.S. Customs Service. Everyone who travels out of the country must complete a declaration form when returning through customs. To save time and trouble, write for a free kit of useful material that the U.S. Customs Service has put together to help you, especially when you get ready to bring yourself and your foreign purchases back to the United States. The kit includes a declaration form that you fill out while you shop for gifts and souvenirs. A great way of keeping tabs on your foreign purchases while you make them. So, before you leave the country, get your free travel pack of information. Write Travel Pack, U.S. Customs Service, Washington, D.C., 20229. That's Travel Pack, U.S. Customs Service, Washington, D.C., 20229. Or ask your local travel agent for a free travel pack of information. You'll never find a better travel kit than your free travel pack.
Now on Classic Radio Theater, we go back 89 years to July 15th, 1935, an early episode of Fibber McGee and Molly as Fibber goes swimming.
The makers of Johnson's Wax present another broadside of brilliant ballads and bright banter with Rico Marcelli's orchestra, the Bennett Sisters, the Three Kings, the Johnson Waxettes, Lynn Martin, and Marion and Jim as your imaginative impresarios of imposing impossibilities, Fibber McGee and Molly. Marcelli and his men have arranged a musical meeting at about 8:45. Wrap it up, Rico. I'm sure no man listening in tonight would appear before his boss disheveled and unkempt and expect to make a favorable impression. And no woman would attend an afternoon tea in a dirty apron. So let me add that a person can't look respectable either, riding in a dirty, discolored automobile. If you've been neglecting the appearance of your car, you can correct the wrong impression you've been making by restoring the finish quickly with Johnson's new Auto Wax and Cleaner.
About 8:45. My love in arms are gonna stand
tenderly twine around you about 9:15. I know I won't be late, 'cause at 8:30 I'm gonna hurry there. I'll be waiting where the lane begins, waiting for you on Needleton's Inn, and then the world is gonna be mine this evening about 9:15.
And here is where we catch up with a couple of sea-sighting sightseers as Fibber and Molly drive along the ocean beach looking for a likely spot to go swimming.
Hey, Molly, how big is the Atlantic Ocean anyhow?
And how should I know?
Shucks, didn't you have it in school?
You think I went to school on a raft, McGee? What difference does it make how big the ocean is?
Oh, I don't know. I just wondered why such a big ocean had such a few places where a fella can swim.
Go on with you, McGee. 'Tis the ocean we're at, not the old swimming hole. And look, there's a lovely place up ahead and not a soul in sight. Stop the car, McGee.
Shucks, that does look pretty good at that, don't it?
Oh.
I'll pull over there. Gotta get them brakes fixed.
Fill your lungs with that fresh ocean air, McGee. No, don't. It's fresh enough, you are.
Kind of a nice beach, ain't it, Molly? Shucks, it's smooth enough to play a game of croquet.
Croquet.
Okay. Where's the bathing suits, Molly?
In the back seat, McGee. I unpacked them last night. A little moth-eaten, but not bad.
Shucks, that's nothing. Them's just them old swimming holes you was talking about. Don't you get it, Molly? I says
They ain't funny, McGee.
Okay.
But listen, where'll we put them on?
Well, what you suppose I put up the side curtains for? You get back there now and into your bathing suit whilst I keep watch. Shucks, there ain't nobody within miles of here. That's just funny, too. Seems like a real nice beach. Maybe we're the first ones to discover it.
Sure. I suppose 'twas the Indians that built this concrete road. Now keep a sharp eye out, McGee. Tell me if you see anyone coming.
Shucks, what you think I'll be doing? Running a bathing beauty contest? Go on, now get in the back there and change. You want a boost?
A boost, is it?
Yeah.
And when did Molly McGee grow too old to crawl over the back? Quit pushing, McGee.
There you are.
Now keep a good watch, McGee.
Trust me, Molly, but hurry up. Shucks, I can't hardly wait to plunge into the water and do a little fancy swimming. I ever tell you about the time I swum out through the Golden Gate?
No, but it's 10 to 1 you never closed it after you, McGee.
Well, sure,
Is anyone coming, McGee?
Nobody in sight but Santa Claus, Molly. He's 5 months away yet. But as I was saying, I swum out so far through the Golden Gate at San Francisco, I was beginning to wonder if I should ought to go on to Japan or come back. But I didn't have no passports or nothing, so...
Is it all right, McGee?
Shucks, quit worrying, Molly. I'm keeping an eye out. Ever see me do my Zulu zip, Molly?
And what is the Zulu zip?
Well, sir, it's kind of like the Australian crawl, only it ain't done with the overhand stroke. It's a kind of a hip movement that takes you through the water twice as fast as any other stroke. Why, I'm...
McGee, 'tis nearly ready I am.
Well, nearly don't count with bathing suits, Molly.
Don't be so smart, McGee. Now get dressed yourself. Here's your suit.
This? Why, shucks. This suit's got so many holes in it, it looks like lace.
Oh, what's the difference, McGee? There's no one here to see you. My, I hope I don't get too sunburned.
Shucks, Molly, that's just what I do want. A good coat of tan.
With a belt in the back.
With a belt... I ever tell you about the time I dove off in the SS Shiny Whiny?
The SS what, McGee?
The SS Shiny Whiny. Cargo boat carrying Johnson's Auto Wax foreign parts. Well, sir, I was up on top of the mast, fixing the radio aerial one day.
Hurry and get your suit on, McGee. There's someone coming down the road.
Okay. They probably heard about my underwater trapeze act, and they want to see it.
Oh, McGee, what did you rip?
Shucks, I tore the top off from the bathing suit.
Oh, dear.
Oh, well, the trunks is all us fellers wears nowadays, anyway.
Ain't you nearly ready, McGee?
I'm trying to find a piece of string. These here trunks is kind of loose at the belt.
Well, stick out your stomach, McGee. That'll hold them tight. And hurry, here comes the man.
Probably some other feller looking for a quiet place to swim. Shucks, I can hardly wait to get into the water myself.
Well, come on, McGee. Let's go. You think our things will be all right in the car?
Sure, nobody will ever... Oh, hello there, Bud.
Good morning.
And the balance of the day to yourself, mister.
I'm glad you come along, Bud. I just wanted to ask you how deep the water is here.
Well, I'll tell you, brother. For you, it ain't even wet.
Meaning what?
Meaning this here's a private beach and you're trespassing. Better drive on.
Hey, what's the ID? This here's a private beach. Why don't they put up a sign?
Sure, why don't they put up a sign?
Sure, they did. You parked right under it. Look.
Oh. Well, say, Bud, it won't do no harm if we just take a dip here for a minute.
Not a chance, brother. Start your car and get going. Go on.
Keep a civil tongue in your head, mister.
No, Molly, let me talk. Hey, Bud, do you care for a good cigar?
Well, yes, I do, thanks.
Thanks for what? I was just going to say that next time I see one laying in the gutter, I'll be thinking of you.
And that, friends, was Maestro Marcelli giving you Hunkadola. And now it's my turn, and I'm going to give you a hunk of wisdom. If your car is dull and discolored with road film, just
yes,
give
sir,
it...
folks. Me and Molly has written a little 2-act commercial play about Johnson's Auto Wax. We're going to play it for you. Give us a fanfare, Marshmallow. Thanks. The first act is in the court of Queen Whinnybeer, who is found talking to her favorite knight, Sir Monday.
A weeknight.
Yeah. But a nice feller. The curtain goes up, and she says,
Oh, Sir Monday. I like it not that thou must enter yon tournament. Thou art still weak on thy pins from the last break-it.
Think not so, Your Majesty. I got me idea.
Methinks it had better be good. Thy opponent, Sir Gawain, is no palooka.
Act 2. Same place. Next day. Queen Winniebeer is on the stage as Sir Monday enters.
My hero, thou hast won the tournament. I seen the dust of battle from the palace window. Ah, Sir Monday, tell me, how didst thou overcome the mighty Sir Gawain?
Oh, I just says, Gawain, leave me alone. No, I just rubbed Johnson's auto wax onto my iron shirt. Shucks, forsooth, the sword could not penetrate the flint-like hardness to the finish.
My hero.
My love.
My announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go on with the show, I just want to say that if any of you have been disturbed by the dull, faded appearance of your automobile, Johnson's unique new method of restoring and protecting the finish on your car should be great news. Johnson's Cleaner, in particular, has created a sensation among car owners from one end of the country to the other. For the principle is entirely new and totally different. No matter how dull or lifeless the finish of your car is, you can restore its original luster simply by rubbing a little of the creamy white liquid over the surface. It will dry almost instantly to a soft white powder, and when you rub it off, you'll be amazed to see a car that glistens and sparkles like new. For Johnson's Cleaner actually polishes as it cleans. And remember this cleaner not only saves time and muscle work, but, unlike others you may have tried, positively will not harm the finish in any way. And on that point, let me say that after 87 applications of Johnson's Cleaner to the same finish, the Pittsburgh testing laboratories state that the entire paint job was in good condition. This was not true of other cleaners tested in the same way. So be sure you get Johnson's Auto Cleaner. And now, may we present our lovely little Lynn Martin, the half-pint girl with the full measure voice, who is going to say... Well, what do you want, Fibber?
A feller wants to know what the Toots here is going to sing.
What fellow wants to know?
Me.
Oh.
What you going to sing, Toots?
I'm going to sing Paris in the Spring, Fibber.
Paris in spring, huh? Say, ain't I met you over there in France?
On the Rue de la Paix?
Yeah, onto the Rudy Toot Toot. Sprechen Sie Francais?
Jawohl.
Good. We'll have a long talk sometime about when we was over there. You betcha.
Will you leave the little girl alone and sit down?
Okay. I was just finding out what background she had.
Paris in the spring, life's a love affair. Love is in the air, and every pair of arms a rendezvous for two. Paris in the spring, hearts begin to dance, and in every glance you'll find an invitation to romance. You must fall. You simply can't evade love. The moon is there to aid love. Find someone you can call your own. You're to blame if you're alone. It's grand, it's new. It's me, it's you. Every beating heart becomes a part of Paris in the spring. Life's a love affair. Love is in the air, Every beating heart becomes a part of Paris in the spring.
Well, here's that man again. Remember that old story of the hare and the tortoise? Well, Fibber's getting in our hair has taught us the lesson. Oh, me. So we take him far, far away from the studio for a few minutes and find him and Molly on a public beach this time, talking to the hot dog vendor.
And Johnson's Auto Wax. On your vendors and body cannot harm the finish.
Here, I'll wangle the wax, mister. You peddle your puppies.
Hot dog. Get your hot dogs here. Here you are, lady.
Thank you. My, these are real good hot dogs for me.
I'll say so. Real pedigreed provisions. Hot dog here.
I even see the lifeguard over there eating one, McGee.
You better be careful. You're liable to get cramps. I mind the time when I was a lifeguard over to...
Oh, now, McGee, are you going...
When I was a lifeguard at the Bimble Smucker Bathing Beach. Hot dog. You a lifeguard, Doc? You?
Sure, he was a lifeguard. His own life.
Why, shucks, Molly. For 2 years, I was known as Beauty McGee, the big, brave boss of the bathing beach. Hot dog. I'll say so. Well, sir, I'll never forget one rescue I made.
Well, stop talking and you'll make 2 more.
Hot dog. I don't like that there enthusiasm so much. Well, sir, one day I was sitting up there onto my lifeguard platform. You want to hear about this, Bud?
No, I guess not.
Well, sir, as I says, I was sitting up there onto the lifeguard platform, the center of all female eyes. Sitting there strong and handsome, all tanned up, my swimming muscles rippling under my skin. When all of a sudden there come a cry of... Hot dog! Hot dog! No, Dad Rabbit. A cry for help. So what does I do? But I leap down to the beach, plunges into the water, and start swimming out toward where I heard the holler. Faster and faster I swum, zipping through the water like an eel, cresting the waves like a seal, plunging through the heavy seas like a whale. Then I turned over on my back.
He turned turtle.
Hot dog. Only 10 cents. So what happened, Doc? Well, sure, Hot dog. Hot dog. Hot dog there.
McGee, your story is go to the dog.
One, Doc. You got me all interested. Okay. Well, sure, Hot dog. Hot dog there. Hey, are you going to let me tell this story or not? Go right ahead, Doc. Sorry to have interrupted you. It's okay, Bud. Business is business. But as I was saying, there I was, churning through the water to the rescue, and when I come up for air, there right in front of me was a gleaming mass of... Hot dog? No! It was hair, it was. Golden gleaming hair. A blonde gal was half underwater as I come up to her. She was unconscious as I grabbed her by that beautiful blonde hair, glistening in the sun like
Like Johnson's Auto Wax?
You get out of this, Harpo. This is my ocean.
Oh, pardon me. I thought this was the NBC.
Gonna have trouble with that fella yet. Well, sir, I grabs this here gal by the hair and starts towing her into shore. Swimming the 5.5 miles in 2 minutes and 8 seconds.
2 minutes and 8 seconds.
It would have been 1 minute and 76 seconds if I hadn't stopped at the lighthouse for a drink of water. Well, sir, when I finally got her to shore, I turned the gal over a big barrel.
That's using the old head.
Yeah.
Hog's head.
Well, sir, I wrung her out and started artificial perspiration. Inspiration.
Respiration.
I tried to get her breathing again, but I had to stop and fight the crowds back every minute or two. Stand back, I says. Give this here little gal a chance, I says. And I kept on with my artificial with my work. Finally, I noticed a little flutter in her breath. I worked her arms faster. She started breathing. Her eyes quivered. And bending down, I heard her say... Hot dog! Hot dog!
I see. She'd mustered up enough strength for a hot dog.
That ratted hot dogs and mustard didn't have nothing to do with it. Well, sir, I puts my ear down to her little pale lips, and I hears her say, in a faint, trembling voice, she says,
What did she say, McGee?
"Who was that lady I seen you with last night?"
Oh, now, McGee, she didn't pull that.
Yes, sir. You see, it happens that she wasn't the real gal at all. She was just a ventriloquist dummy that had fell overboard off in the Albany night boat. But I was such an expert lifesaver, I'd even brung a dummy to life for a minute. So that's why I always says, hot dog,
I'll go my way, you go your way. Crazy rhythm, come now on, we're through. Here's where we have a showdown. And I had you to low down. Crazy rhythm, here's goodbye to you. They say that when a highbrow meets a lowbrow walking along Broadway, soon the highbrow, he has no brow. Ain't it a shame and you're to blame? What's the use of prohibition? You produce the same condition. Crazy rhythm, I've gone crazy too.
That was Martelli and his men giving us a touch of insane copation, crazy rhythm to you, with the Waxette helping out just as a matter of chorus. A few minutes ago, I told you how to restore the finish on your car quickly, easily, and safely by using Johnson's new auto cleaner. Now, after you've done that, you can protect that shining finish from grit, rain, and the blistering rays of the sun by giving it a flint-like coat of Johnson's auto wax. This marvelous time-saving, car-saving auto wax is not only easier to use, but actually saves car washing, because grit and dirt can't stick to this hard, smooth, protective shell. And I'd like to add right here that a few cents invested now for Johnson's auto wax and cleaner will increase the resale value of your car later. Listen to what Emmett Faulkner of Chicago has to say on that point.
After I cleaned and waxed my car with the new Johnson wax method, I had such a good offer for it, I couldn't refuse. In fact, it was $125 more than I'd been offered previously. You bet I sold the car. Later on, I bought a new one, and the first thing I did was to Johnson wax it.
So if you want a car that you're proud to ride in, let me urge you to test this modern, efficient, easy-to-use Johnson method of restoring and protecting the finish. Now, if you act at once, your regular Johnson's wax dealer or filling station will give you free a 40-cent can of black touch-up enamel with each purchase of Johnson's auto wax and cleaner at the special combination price of only 98 cents. This offer is also good in Canada. Or if you prefer, you can have your regular garage or service station wax your car. But be sure to specify Johnson's auto wax and auto cleaner. we suggest that you tie the aerial wire in a memory knot on your finger so you won't forget that next Monday at this same time, you'll be fibbed to by Fibber and mollified by Molly.
Yes, and harped at by Harpo.
Well, be that as it may, next Monday, July 22nd, we'll meet you here again. Which brings us to the finish of this show. And when you think of finish, think of Johnson's Auto Wax, which is also a good buy. This is Harlow Wilcox, said he, hopefully. Good night. Don't forget, we have a date next Monday night. Fibber McGee and Molly come to you from our Chicago studios. Among the selections heard on our program tonight was Outside of You from Broadway Gondoliers. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
One of the things I noticed about the mid-30s episodes of Fibber McGee and Molly is both had a significantly more Irish brogue to them. Have you noticed that? Particularly Molly. Fibber McGee and Molly, 89 years ago, July 15th, 1935, they would grow more into their comedy as years would go on here. All right, visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows there, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can find our social media links there, and if you're so inclined, you can buy me a copy or purchase something off that pin post and help support our program. Nice radio there, and some interesting books that I think you'll enjoy. Up next, Will Rogers Jr. in Rogers of the Gazette.
This is Lorne Green. You know, everyone who travels out of the country must complete a declaration form when returning through customs. As part of a free kit called Travel Pack, you can now get a declaration form before you go and fill it out while you shop. For your free Travel Pack, write to Travel Pack, U.S. Customs Service, Washington, D.C. 20229. That's Travel Pack, U.S. Customs Service, Washington, D.C. 20229. Or see your local travel agent.
Of course, these days you can do it all online, you know that. Classic Radio Theater continues now. I'm Wyatt Cox, and this is Will Rogers Jr. in an episode of the short-run series Rogers of the Gazette, as it was broadcast 71 years ago, July 15th, 1953, the story of Jimmy Reynolds.
Ladies and gentlemen, the editor of the Elyria Weekly Gazette, Mr. Will Rogers Jr.
Thank you. You know, some newspapers claim they print all the news that's fit to print, and some others, who won't admit it, just print all the news that fits.
Rogers of the Gazette, offering you again tonight, transcribed, another heartwarming story of a country newspaper and its friendly editor, and starring Will Rogers Jr. It's built around a square, and after that, well, to tell you the truth, the town doesn't go too far in any direction. It never did, and it probably never will. Elyria is just about like it was a century ago. People with the same names live in the same houses, and for the most part, they have pretty much the same ideas as the generations which went before. Elyria doesn't want to be any bigger or any different. Doesn't want to change. The folks here like things just the way they are. It's midnight now. The town square's deserted, except for Ed Miller, the policeman, and it's dark, except for the light that's on in the office of the Elyria Gazette.
Everything all right, Will? Oh, hi, Ed. Yeah, everything's all right except the time of day.
Maggie gone home?
Mm-hmm. Supper time. I was just finishing up the stuff we never get to daytimes.
You just finishing up and me just starting to work.
That's right.
Well, you gonna have anything exciting in the Gazette this week?
Now, Ed, how long since you read anything exciting in the Gazette?
Well, good long time, I guess.
Nearest thing to hot news this week is a crop analysis from the Agricultural College. You want anything special?
No, just saw your light, figured it was you working. Halfway hoped someone had broke in so I could arrest him.
Oh, sorry to disappoint you, Ed. Always thought a peace officer liked things peaceful.
Sure, Will, but it gets a little monotonous sometimes.
Now, I'd call peace a peculiar kind of monotony, Ed.
Help you lock up?
No, nothing to do but turn off the light and lock the front door. Breeze must be from the south. Well, that air's right off Hamilton's alfalfa field.
It smells like it. Not a sound in this town except the two of us walking.
You can't hear the locusts, huh?
Oh, them.
Look out. Now, I'd say the silence of the night's been broken, Officer Miller.
That Martin Evers never has known how to drink. Keeps practicing, though, figuring to learn, I guess.
Well, gentlemen, we're out pretty late, aren't we?
Hello, Martin.
Yes, indeed. Oh, that's you, Will, yeah. You and a very blurry friend.
Come on, Martin, let's go home.
Oh, is that you, Ed?
Yeah,
Oh,
come on.
Need any help, Ed?
No, Will, Martin and I do this a couple of times a week, don't we, Martin?
Ooh. Well, you'll have to speak louder, Ed. I was listening to the locusts.
I said, let's go home.
Shh, it's the middle of the night, Ed. You mustn't disturb the peace, officer. Hmm? Peace officer.
You mean you take Martin home and tuck him in?
Yeah, a couple of times a week. Beats having him drive home. Besides, it breaks that monotony we were talking about earlier.
Peace officer. It's a little joke.
Well, if you don't need me.
No, Will, he's harmless.
I'll go on home. Good night, Ed.
Good night, Will.
Good night, Martin.
Hmm? What did he say?
Never mind. Let's go.
How late did you work last night, Will?
Midnight, I guess.
Will Rogers.
Well, I think it was midnight, Maggie.
It must have been. You filed all that mat stuff that came in from the news service. You cleaned out the file
What's
of
all
pictures.
this ruckus about?
Well, when I left at supper time, you said you wouldn't be here more than another half hour or so.
Is that what I said?
Will, I'm supposed to help you. That's what an assistant's for.
And you're a big help, too.
Well,
What did you do last night, Maggie?
I took some flowers to old Mrs. Reynolds. We had a nice talk. She's a wonderful person, Will.
Yes, she is. Did you see Jimmy?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot. He said to tell you he'd look in around noon to see if you had any errands to run.
Well, I don't suppose I'll have any.
And
but,
to pick up your old blue suit.
How's that again?
Now, Will, you know it's too small for you. You don't take a deep breath the whole day long when you wear it, and when you bend over...
Maggie?
It's tight across the shoulders. But it's not really worn, and it'd just fit Jimmy. I know it would.
Yeah, Jimmy must know it, too, seeing he's coming by to pick it up.
I told his grandmother you'd been meaning to give it to Jimmy for a long time.
Uh-huh. You've been giving this a lot of thought, haven't you?
I don't know when he's had a decent suit. They just don't have much, Will. There's some party tonight, and Jimmy's such a fine youngster.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's a good boy. But... Now, I don't know if it's my place to do any talking on the subject or not.
Oh,
but
sure. Go ahead. After all, it is your suit.
I thought maybe you'd lost track of that. Well, anyway, Jimmy's welcome to it.
Oh, real. Now that's real generous of you.
Well, no. I think it's every bit as generous of you, Maggie.
I was pretty nice, wasn't I?
Well, there is just one thing, though.
Here's Jimmy now.
Hello, Miss Button.
Hi, Jimmy.
Will?
Hi there, Jimmy.
I got through a little early. I thought you might have something I could do around here.
By golly, I don't know what it'd be. I went down to the post office earlier, and that's about the nearest thing to an errand we've got around here.
Oh. Well, I just thought I'd check. I'm sort of hustling jobs. I mowed 5 lawns this morning, and I'm not due at the church till 1:30.
Well, you are hustling jobs. What's going on down at the church?
Oh, some of us are helping Reverend Erickson clear off that lot for the youth wing of the church, you know?
We did a story on it a couple of issues back, Will.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember.
Well, if I can pick up that suit, then I'll run it on home. Grandmother said she'd kind of sponge it off and press it.
Probably wouldn't hurt. The thing is, though, Jimmy...
I'll get it for you, Jimmy.
What were you going to say, Will?
Oh, no, nothing. Nothing at all.
Gee, it sure is nice of you to give me this suit, Will.
Glad to, Jimmy.
Here you go.
Oh, gee, thanks, Miss Button, and thank you again, Will. I'll be in Thursday, in time to deliver the papers, okay?
Fine.
Have a good time at the party.
Yeah, thanks.
Ah, he's a sweet kid.
Yeah. Maggie.
I stopped by your house on the way to work this morning. Mrs. Weatherwax gave it to me.
Oh. Huh? Oh? Oh? Middle of the blame night? Hello.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes, ma'am?
This is Mrs. Reynolds, Jimmy's grandmother. I hate to call you at this hour of the night, but I just didn't know who else to turn to.
Something wrong, Mrs. Reynolds?
It's Jimmy, Mr. Rogers. He's in jail.
But what for?
Well, I was so confused and so worried. I'm not sure I understood Ed correctly, but I think he said Jimmy was drunk.
Drunk? Well, look, Mrs. Reynolds, why don't I just go down there and see what this is all about? Seems to me like there must be some kind of a mistake here or something.
Oh, I wish you would, Mr. Rogers. I'm so worried.
Well, all right, now you just take it easy, Mrs. Reynolds. Make yourself some tea, and I'll go down and talk to Ed. I'll come over to your house right afterwards. How's that?
Oh, God bless you, Mr. Rogers. I'll wait till I hear from you then.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
Well, there he is, Will. You can see for yourself.
He's sound asleep, as green as grass.
You never heard such moaning in your life before he passed out. I've seen some sick ones in my time, but this was the limit.
Remember the first drink you ever had, Ed? It makes you sick.
Well, I'm not so sure it's his first, but I'm going to make blame sure it's his last.
I don't think you need to worry about that. Wonder where he got the stuff.
He wouldn't say, or couldn't.
Where'd you find him?
Middle of the square, on the path near the statue.
Well, his grandmother's been worried half to death.
I know. She called here. Said she called whoever it was that had the party tonight, and they said Jimmy'd left, that he'd had time to get home. She said she waited some more and then called me.
Well, I'll take him home to her.
Now, Will, you're not taking him anywhere.
Oh, it'll save you the trip. I told her I'd stop by.
He's not getting off that easy. He's staying right here.
Oh, come on, Ed. That kid belongs at home now. I think I know why you didn't take him home at first, the shape he was in when you found him. But now...
Will, I don't want a whole wave of this stuff starting up. Now, how old is he?
15, I guess.
Well, we're going to nip this thing in the bud, here and now. I don't want a pack of juvenile delinquents in this town. No, sir. I'm going to make an example of Jimmy Reynolds.
What? You don't mean that, Ed. Why, he's just a kid, and a good kid at that.
He's old enough to get drunk, and he's old enough to take his medicine. And the law for being drunk in Elyria reads awful clear. A $200 fine or 30 days in jail.
What about Martin Evers? Or doesn't the law apply to adults?
Now, finding Martin or putting him in jail wouldn't change him a bit, Will. But this Reynolds kid, soon as he understands he can't get by with it, he won't be so quick to take a drink next time.
Ed, well, you can't do this. Look at Jimmy. He's had his punishment. Well, you can't make an example of him and on his first offense. Don't worry. His grandmother will have plenty to say to him, and so will I. Only let me take him home now.
You got $200 cash?
No.
Well, that's what it costs to take him home. His grandmother couldn't keep him out of trouble this time, Will. Nothing says she can the next.
I think you're crazy.
Well, I'm not. I've got a law on my side that's crystal clear. And I tell you, you may not see it this way, but I'm doing this for Jimmy's own good in the long run.
I'm going to fight you on this, Ed.
That's your business, Will. If you and the Gazette want to uphold lawlessness, that's fine with me. But you watch, I'm going to make an example of Jimmy, and the responsible folks in this town will back me up.
You are listening to Rogers of the Gazette, starring Mr. Will Rogers, Jr. We'll return to tonight's story in just a moment, but first, this Friday night, CBS Radio invites you to Mystery with two famous misters of crime detection, Mr. Keen, tracer of lost persons, and Mr. Chameleon, the man of many faces. Each attempts to solve an intricate murder mystery this Friday night on most of these same stations. Mr. Keen and Mr. Chameleon, presented by CBS Radio. And now we continue with the second act of tonight's show.
Look at that dust, Maggie.
I don't suppose anyone's bothered to look up a law in this town for years.
Librarian said it was the first call she'd had for this book in 15 years she's worked here. Wait a minute. Let's see. Here it is. Drunkenness. The crime of drunkenness will in no wise be tolerated by the arresting authorities, constable or sheriff of Elyria. Any person who, in the judgment of the arresting authorities, is guilty of drunkenness shall be subject to a monetary fine of $200 or 30 days confinement in the jailhouse provided for that purpose.
Oh.
In addition to these penalties, and if it would appear to serve the best interests of the town, the arresting authority may, at his discretion, place the offender up before public display and ridicule.
Wow. I guess we're lucky Ed didn't decide to carry out that clause.
Yeah. I thought there'd be something here about being a minor, but it doesn't mention age. It just says any person. Any person.
Does that mean Jimmy's got to stay in jail, Will?
Well, until we can raise $200, I guess it does. His grandmother hasn't got it. She told me last night. She gets a little pension, something like $40 a month. Jimmy hustles for the rest of their income.
Oh, I know.
Look, Maggie, this law was passed in 1850.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's just about where Ed Miller's thinking is, too, back 100 years ago. Tried to talk to him again this morning, but he's so bull stubborn. Now he thinks I want every kid over 10 getting drunk a couple of times a week.
Well, I know one thing. The town will never stand for it.
I hope you're right, Maggie. But, you know, I'd like to keep this thing quiet, for Jimmy's sake and Mrs. Reynolds. Then maybe it'll take an editorial in the Gazette to let folks find out what's happening around here.
Will, maybe you could just talk to a few people first. I didn't think, but it'd be a shame to plaster Jimmy's name all over the papers.
I'd give a lot to know where he got the liquor in the first place. I asked him this morning, but he wouldn't tell me.
Well, the party was at the Evers. Maybe you got it there.
Martin Evers' boy give this party?
Uh-huh. That give you an idea or something?
I'll let you know when I get back.
I'll tell you, Will, I don't want my boy's name dragged into this thing. Mine either, for that matter. Glenn just gave a little party. There's no harm in that.
I sure don't want to do anybody harm.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, Jimmy didn't accuse Glenn of doing anything wrong, did he? Because if he
now,
did,
just simmer down, Martin. Jimmy hasn't accused anybody. This is all my idea. Well, now, I say that Jimmy made the mistake that every boy makes in taking his first drink. But I know him well enough to know that he wouldn't do such a thing all by himself. I don't even think it had been his idea to begin with.
No, it seems to me you're missing the point, Will. Ed Miller found him drunk. He didn't find anyone else. He just found Jimmy. You act like Jimmy's only crime is getting caught.
Now, you know me better than that, Martin. I'm calling what Jimmy did a mistake, not a crime. And I say he should be made to understand what he's done. But I don't think he should be thrown in jail for 30 days.
Is that the law?
That, or a $200 fine. Old Mrs. Reynolds hasn't got the money to pay it.
Oh, poor old lady raising that boy alone with his parents dead and all. Why'd you come to me with this, Will?
Thought you might want to help Jimmy.
A little blackmail, Will?
Huh?
I'm afraid it won't work. You think just because Ed Miller's been a little lenient with me and you happen to know about it...
I just don't work that way, Martin, and you know it.
Yeah, well, maybe not, Will. Look, it isn't my place to interfere here. I'm sorry for old Mrs. Reynolds, but look, Ed's got the law on his side. And if he's of a mind to enforce it, he must have a good reason.
I'd like to help, Will, but I got kids of my own. It wouldn't sound right if I came out against the law of the town. Now, if someone else started the ball rolling...
My heart just bleeds for poor Mrs. Reynolds. I already took her a big kettle of soup. And I feel sorry for Jimmy, too. I know he's not a bad boy, but... Well, I tell you, Will, I just can't be the one that takes the first stand on this thing. If one of the town leaders had come forward...
Oh, I know, Mr. Rogers. They've been calling here and coming to see me, bringing me food and their sympathy. But I'm afraid Jimmy and I need more than that right now.
Yes, I'm afraid you do too, Mrs. Reynolds. Ed Miller isn't a bit disposed to changing his mind on this.
I don't understand. We Reynolds never were ones to ask any special favors. We just expected our due. I'm not proud of what Jimmy's done, but he's a good boy. Nobody knows this better than I do, Mr. Rogers. Can't Ed see he's a good boy?
Well, that isn't the point, Mrs. Reynolds. You know, some folks just don't take well to power. A small man with a little power is a lot more dangerous than a big man with a lot of power. No, I just don't see Ed letting up on this thing at all. Somehow we're going to have to raise that $200.
I'm just not sure folks will let me do that, Mr. Rogers. I've not got much of value, but I've tried to sell the little I thought might bring in some money. And everyone I call or see says the same thing. They're sorry for me and shocked at Jimmy. And they won't let me part with a thing on his account.
Now, Will, I don't think you know what you're asking of me.
I think I do, Reverend Erickson. For instance, I don't think you'd call Jimmy a sinner now, would you?
No, I don't think I would.
Well, a lot of folks in town have told me they'd follow along if some responsible person took the cause up here and, sort of a town leader. And
Will, I've got my entire congregation to think of. They place a lot of faith in their minister, and I'm afraid a lot of restrictions on him sometimes, too.
Well, tell me this. Do you think Ed Miller's right in what he's doing?
I think he's absolutely wrong. Law and justice should always be tempered with mercy.
A long time ago, a French fella, Rousseau, I think his name was, said that good laws lead to the making of better ones, and bad laws bring about worse. Now, I say this law's a bad one if it don't spell out some protection to minors on first offenses.
The law could be more specific, all right, Will. It doesn't reflect entirely realistic thinking. But then Ed Miller isn't reflecting the point of view of the majority of modern peace officers either.
No, that's right. Of course, most of them had turned Jimmy over to Mrs. Reynolds and then had a good smart talk with them both. Ed's a pretty bad exception. Well, thanks for your time, Reverend.
You're welcome to it, Will. And if I find I can offer you anything else, I'll be in touch with you.
Finish your editorial, Will?
Not yet. Money?
$28.73 from a few anonymous Illyrians.
For Jimmy's fine.
Uh-huh. And with your 10 and my 5, that makes 3, carry the 1, $43.73. We're making progress, Will.
Yeah, and losing a little ground, too.
How do you mean?
Well, Mrs. Reynolds says that she and Jimmy will be moving downstate with her brother when this thing's over. She says her brother hasn't got much, but she won't have Jimmy here facing the shame of this for the rest of his life.
Well, you can't blame her. I think it's wrong, but the way most people have acted, you sure can't blame her.
Nope.
You putting that in, Will? About them moving?
Haven't decided yet, Maggie. Just saying now that Jimmy didn't have much chance of being a juvenile delinquent before. But after being Ed Miller's guest in jail, his chances of being a delinquent have improved considerably.
Here. Oh, that reminds me. I just ran into Reverend Erickson. He said to tell you he'd like to see you in church Sunday morning. Is that good, Will?
Oh. Well, I don't think it'll do me any harm, Maggie. I didn't miss the sermon, did I, Maggie?
There's not going to be one. Reverend Erickson just told everyone to meditate.
Oh.
It's been going on for 5 or 10 minutes.
Perhaps these verses from the Scriptures will help you direct your meditations. He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone. The book of St. John, 8th chapter, 7th verse. And from the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse the 21st, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Second Corinthians 3:6. Not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth light. And as we prepare ourselves for the day's collection, remembering that these past months such monies have been specially set aside for the building of our youth wing, let me say to you, as Jesus said of young people, suffer them to come unto me and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. It is not my custom, as you know, to count the collection as it comes in, but today I had a special purpose in so doing. If you were guided in your meditations by the verses I read to you, then I think you will not be surprised at what I'm about to tell you. You have been especially generous. And I find that there is more than we need to help one of the youths of this church who ordinarily worships with us on Sunday, and who I hope will enjoy our new youth wing to the fullest. I speak of Jimmy Reynolds. I do not condone what Jimmy has done, but I condone the manner in which it has been handled even less. He is not a bad boy, Jimmy Reynolds. He is a young boy who made a mistake. A very common mistake, I might add. Against the possibility that you of my congregation may not agree with me in this matter, There is in the mail a letter to the Board of Deacons containing my resignation from this pulpit. Good morning, and God bless you.
I couldn't tell for sure, Reverend, but from where I've been watching them file out, I'd say you got yourself an overwhelming vote of confidence.
Well, it was very gratifying, Will.
For a minute there, I was afraid Elyria was going to lose 3 of its best citizens. You, Mrs. Reynolds, and Jimmy. Seemed to me that the wrong people were leaving town.
Well, I'm calling on Mrs. Reynolds when I take Jimmy home to her. I think, Will, she'll decide to stay in Elyria.
I think so too, Reverend. And you know, because of your sermon today, maybe the town's come of age a little. I think even Ed Miller is going to see things in a different light.
You have just heard Rogers of the Gazette, starring Mr. Will Rogers, Jr., with Georgia Ellis as Maggie Button. Tonight's story was written by Kathleen Height and produced and transcribed by Norman McDonald. Featured in the cast were Lawrence Dobkin, Harry Bartell, Constance Crowder, John McGovern, and Tom McKee. The special music was composed by Rene Garrigank and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Tomorrow night, don't miss Kathy and Elliot Lewis on stage with a story of the efforts of critic and agent to create the miracle of love for an actress with a papier-mâché heart. Don't miss Miracle of Julia, starting tomorrow evening on most of these same stations. Bob Lamont speaking. All summer long, enjoy refreshing drama on the Thursday Theater on the CBS Radio Network.
From 71 years ago, July 15th, 1953, Will Rogers Jr. in Rogers of the Gazette. Tomorrow, Brian Dunleavy in a Dangerous Assignment episode from 1949. Dick Calmer in Boston Blackie, an episode from 78 years ago. I Was a Communist for the FBI from 72 years ago. The Whistler, an episode from 74 years ago, Attorney for the Defense, and another episode of Superman. And then we'll have, on the following day, Columbia presents Corwin, the Undecided Molecule, starring Groucho Marx, Granby's Green Acres, another episode of that fine summer series, The Adventures of Archie Andrews, the Damon Runyon Theater, and Lum and Abner. That's all coming up right here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own, and you can support us. We appreciate that as well. Up next, Raymond Burr in an episode of Fort Laramie from 68 years ago.
Somebody's knocking, should I let him in? I'm Terry Gibbs, and being an entertainer, I make international trips pretty often. There are a lot of others who are blind who make that trip too. Want to make it easier for them, and maybe for you? Thanks to the U.S. Customs Service, blind travelers can get important information about making U.S. returns a lot easier. That's because Travel Hints is now available on audio cassette or in Braille. Either way, when you know before you go, coming home through customs is a breeze. For a free copy of this vital information on cassette or in Braille, contact your regional library or write directly to the International Travel Office, U.S. Customs Service, Washington, D.C. 20229. And thanks to Customs for recognizing 1981, the year of the disabled person, as a great year to help in this important effort.
Yes, Terry Gibbs, who had that hit song, Somebody's Knockin', back when? Let's see, when was that, Somebody's Knockin'? That got to number 8 on the country charts, number 13 on the pop charts, number 3 on the adult contemporary charts. That was in 1980. So that gives you an idea when these all were done. Alrighty, we're continuing on here now with an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr, the show that was killed because of Perry Mason. Burr said he loved Fort Laramie. He enjoyed doing the show. The problem was there were just not enough hours in the week. The shooting of his show, Perry Mason, was so very, very trying and so hard doing that hour every week. And it was an hour show, so that took a lot of effort that he just couldn't devote the time to do the show. So Fort Laramie passed away. This episode, the 25th in the series, was from the 15th day of July, 1956, a Sunday, and it's entitled The Old Enemy.
At the gallop! Ho!
Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr as Captain Lee Quince. Specially transcribed tales of the dark and tragic ground of the wild frontier, the saga of fighting men who rode the rim of empire, and the dramatic story of Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
How long would you say you known him, Patchen?
I had that proud honor, I guess, 8-10 years now. Of course, I ain't had the privilege of serving with him since the war.
I still don't see why you just don't go right up to him and make yourself known.
Well, I wouldn't intrude on the captain that way, Drury. He's a busy man, tracking engines, planning battles. Besides, just 'cause I recollect him so well don't mean he'd remember me.
But he's a kindly man.
Oh, the time will come, the just right time. I'll acknowledge myself to Captain Lee Quince.
I'll bet you he'll be proud, knowing you asked special to serve under him again.
Maybe surprised, even. Of course, I only been with the company a week now, but it seems to me the men hold him right high in their thought.
I ain't been here long myself, but there's not a man I know wouldn't lay down his life for Captain Quince, if need be.
Well, now, that's nice. I declare that's real nice. Captain ever talk much about the war? Any of his experiences?
Well, like I say, I ain't been here long myself. But the men say he's not much for talk about anything.
He never was. Even when he was younger, when most men talk free, he was more for action than words.
Yeah. It's funny, ain't it? How you can sense so much good feeling in a man without him talking much.
That's a funny thing, all right.
I like to draw duty with the captain. I sure do. I always have the feeling that no matter what, he's been thinking ahead, planning for us. I feel safe riding with the captain.
Of course, it's hard to tell what a man's thinking if he don't make his thoughts known.
It don't matter to me much what he's thinking, so long as he's acting good.
There's the big thing. How a man acts. Oh, this sure is different country out here. Different kind of fighting country, too.
How you mean?
We fought closer in the war. Like there'd be a stream here, you see?
Yeah.
Say it was a kind of clearing, you know. And on one side, the Rebs would be cowering in the trees. We'd be standing firm on the other side. Now, sooner or later, somebody's got to make a move for that water. The horses and for themselves. I tell you, you get thirsty. You get so you care more about water than living. Anybody's living.
Well, mostly, we're lucky out here. Seems like there's more creeks and
A man's
streams
got a right to a
and
drink when he's dry. More than dry, your insides get to feeling like sand, dust. Like they was gonna crumble.
Patchen? What's the matter with you, Patchen?
Huh? You say something, Drury?
Ask if something was wrong.
Wrong, boy? No, nothing's wrong. I just get a thirst sometime.
You talked yourself dry. It ain't hot. We got plenty of water. There's a stream not 50 yards from you.
I know that. I know.
Well, you were saying about the fighting being different in the war.
Yeah, like I said, we fought closer. Man to man sometimes. A man to dismount, fix his saber to his carbine, and such a bloody slashing away you never saw.
I ain't seen nothing like that in the West.
Out here, it seems like you do more chasing than anything else. We've been tracking Injuns, how long, 2 days now? I ain't drawn my sights on one. Have you, Drury?
That ain't saying they ain't here. Somewheres. Captain Quince must think they're around.
Well, you know I'm not saying that. Why, there ain't a man among you come less near to criticizing the captain's judgment. Well, you're forgetting, boy. I know better than any of you what a great man he is.
Looks like their campsite ahead, Mr. Syberts. Must have made camp here last night.
Yes, sir. We've been just about a day behind them all the way, haven't we, Captain?
And it looks like we're going to stay that way. And I'll say one thing for them. They pick good campsites.
Captain, it's the end of the 4th day. Didn't Major Daggett say if we could catch him in 4 days, fine. If not, report back to Fort Laramie?
Yeah, those are the orders, Mr. Syberts.
Seems like a waste somehow. All this riding only to turn back.
One thing, we don't lose many men this way.
That's true, Captain.
They won't be the first Sioux slipped off the reservation, got away with it. Sergeant! Joe! We'll make camp ahead at Bitter Creek.
Yes, sir. I guess we lost him, sir.
The Sioux? We never had them to lose, Sergeant.
No, sir.
I declare, Captain, I'm real sorry about that.
I don't know harm done. You better get on with your job, Trooper.
Patchen's the name. That's if you don't remember.
I remember.
I kept hoping I'd bump into you, Captain, sir. Sure enough, I did.
You been with B Company long?
Just a week. I didn't want to bother you, seeing you was heading up this big Injun chasing operation. I didn't see any Injuns myself, but the men keep telling me they must be somewhere around. Captain Quince wouldn't be out chasing them.
We're moving back to Fort Laramie starting tomorrow. When we get there, I'll see you get a transfer to another company.
Now, I'm sorry to hear you say that, Captain. I've been looking forward to this reunion longer than I can tell. Tell the truth, I thought you'd hold a higher rank by now, seeing men like Custer and McKenzie are generals. And you're their equal, I could swear to that. I've been telling them...
You got a job to do, Trooper. Better get on with it.
Is that an order, Captain, sir?
That's an order.
Yes, sir. Oh, Captain.
Well?
I thought maybe you'd want to know. It didn't just happen my being in your company. I asked for this duty special on account of us being such old friends.
I guess you remembered him all right, Captain.
What was that, Drury?
Patchen, sir. He was worried for fear you might not remember who he was.
That so?
I told him. I knew you'd recollect. You're just not the kind of man to forget a friend.
He's been talking to you a lot, Drury?
I'll put it this way, sir. I know you a lot better since meeting up with Patchen.
I wonder.
Well, I feel I do. The rest of the men, they feel like I do. We wasn't surprised to hear it exactly, but we sure didn't know you mapped campaigns for General Sheridan. General Cook, too. And all them acts of bravery when you led the
Trooper.
charge. Yes, sir?
You got duty with the mess sergeant, right?
That's right, sir.
Move out.
Yes, sir.
Captain, sir?
What is it, Gorse?
The camp's most bedded down, Captain. The pickets are out.
Who's on picket duty?
It's our last night out, sir. Corporal Jenkins used the rest of the patrol.
Who are they, Gorse?
Well, sir, he put Vickers and Culp up by the bend. Over the west, he's got Stevens and Holt. Then over south, Beale and Patchen.
I told Corporal Jenkins no picket duty for Patchen, and I meant it.
Captain.
No picket duty for Patchen, that's an order.
Yes, sir. Captain? Mind if I say something, sir?
I mind if anybody says something, Mr. Syberts.
I just want to ask you why.
I wouldn't bother asking, Mr. Syberts.
It's about the men, Captain. I have the right to speak out about the men.
You've got the right.
They're tired, sir. They've ridden 4 days out, 3 days back. We've been moving like someone was chasing us. Only no one is.
Any other observations, Mr. Syberts?
Yes, sir. Everyone stood his turn at picket duty. Everyone but Patchen.
You're getting awful close to asking why again, Mr. Syberts.
I'm sure you have a reason, Captain. I hope it's a good one, because the men don't understand. I think we got a morale problem.
We won't have it long. We'll be back at the fort tomorrow.
Captain, if you'd like
Good night, Mr. Syberts.
That all you have to say, Captain?
It's clear. I'm asking for Patchen's transfer.
But you won't say why.
If you're talking about those forms you fill out, Major, put down for the good of company morale.
I'm interested in company morale. I've watched, I've listened to Lieutenant Syberts, I've talked to Sergeant Gorse. Now I'm going to ask you, Captain.
It's personal.
We haven't got room for personal quarrels, Lee. Oh, this is so little like you, I don't even believe it. Nobody who knows you believes it. You don't let these things happen.
We're going to talk about that transfer?
No, we're going to talk about morale. Well, suppose I transfer this man. What good would that do?
You've got a company out there. They're going to be here whether Patchen's transferred or not. They watched this man get to you. As nearly as I can tell, he's been killing you with kindness.
That's what he's trying to do.
Why? Why?
He hates my guts. Goes way back.
No picket duty for Patchen. Why?
I like my camp safe when I'm in hostile territory, Major.
It'll be a lot of trouble to get his Army record clear back to the war. But I'll go to that trouble, Lee, if you don't tell me.
I saved his life once. He's never forgiven me.
That's an odd thing to say.
It's the truth. I saved a lousy, gutless life. He knows it is. He lives with it.
He served under you?
I served under him.
Patchen was an officer?
Captain Joseph Patchen, New York Cavalry. It was before I knew you, Major. Remember the little wars? Us on one side of a stream, them on the other.
And both of you needing the water in between? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, 5 days and nights we sat there looking across at them, waiting. Just waiting. We had a little water. We could have held out. The men were doing fine.
He ordered a charge?
He didn't order anything. We just split wide open crazy. Took off after that stream before anyone knew what hit. The men thought it was a charge, him being in command. We lost half a company.
You hate his guts, too, don't you?
Every good man's got fear in him. I don't mind honest fear. I hate a coward, Major.
You were commissioned on the field, Lee. Was it there?
Yeah. You can't forget that either.
Surely he was relieved of his command.
Major Daggett, sir?
Sergeant Gorse?
Corporal of the Guard reports 2 deserters, sir. It's Patchen and Drury.
Pick your men, Sergeant. Fan out around the house. Check the barn.
Yes, sir.
Holt, Vickers, cover the barn. You, Beal, Culp, the corral. Stevens and Fredericks. You, Stewart, you come with me.
Afternoon to you, mister.
They trample that young wheat the Army will owe me.
We didn't come here to trample your crop. We're looking for deserters.
New kind of grain, supposed to be special for the high plains. I put a lot of money in that grain. I want it to come up.
2 men. One just turned 20, the other older. My age or better.
I thought the Army was for fighting Indians. Give that up, didn't they?
You need men to fight Indians, mister.
Don't look at me. I got enough trouble trying to prove up land like this. Didn't intend to ride off. I meant to stay with horses. Thought I could raise them. Good enough grazing land. Well, the Indians run the horses off. I'd get them grown strong on the grass. About that time, here they'd come. Indians.
You don't keep horses now?
A couple. They're not extra.
I'm going to have to look in your house, mister.
Well, I suppose you are. How many did you say you was looking for?
2.
Got quite a few soldiers along, looking for 2 men. There's some kind of penalty for hiding soldiers who take a notion to run?
The Army don't take kindly to it, mister.
Couldn't shoot a body, though, could you?
You've seen him?
You don't see many folks out this way. You and your soldiers, more than I've seen in months.
How long since you've been in Laramie Village?
Oh, a long time. I stay pretty close here. I knew you wouldn't find him here. Thought you'd want to see for yourself, though.
Captain? Found this in the shed by the barn.
You prefer a cavalry saddle, mister?
I'm gonna have to find that out. Ain't used to it yet.
Did it help if we knew which way they headed when they left?
To tell you the truth, it's hard for me to think they was here at all.
Let's go, Gorse.
Captain. His boots.
Sure, he's wearing cavalry boots, owns a cavalry saddle, but he hasn't seen anyone.
You trample that young wheat, I'll send the army a bill.
You going up to the house at all, Captain? Talk to him?
Yeah, talking to him didn't do any good.
Kind of a sniveling one. Kept wanting to know why the captain himself didn't come to him, ask the questions. He took it real personal like.
The captain himself's about through talking. I come up against any more crawly settlers, Gorse, I'm apt to start breaking a few necks.
I'm feeling a little mean myself. 3 plates of warm grub sitting on his table. Him all alone in the house. He never heard of 2 deserters.
We'll find them.
The men want to awful bad. For you, Captain. That'd be some comfort.
That'd be some comfort, Gorse.
I sure feel bad about Drury. He was going to make a good trooper.
Yeah, I know. I thought sure Patchen would be out here near the stream. He gets an awful thirst sometimes. Let's check that barn again.
Yes, sir. There's only about 2 hours of daylight left. I hate to give him a night's start in this country.
We're not going to.
Oh, Captain.
You, are the captain. Speak your mind, mister. We're busy. I'd, like to talk to you alone.
I'll check the barn, sir.
All right, talk.
I've been sitting up in the house trying to remember. I ain't sure, but seems to me I read somewheres once that there was a reward for turning in deserters. Now, did I just dream that?
There's a $20 reward, mister.
Only $20?
$20.
Oh, ain't very much, is it? I don't suppose you're prepared to go any higher.
I'm not prepared to go that high, mister. But the Army figures it's worth $20.
$20 a piece?
That's it.
8 men looking for 2 men. And the total price on their heads is $40. Ain't no bargain, Captain.
It sure isn't. Total pay for the 8 men looking is $4 a day. 50 cents apiece.
Is that all?
And the price isn't just for their heads, mister. We'd have to insist on the rest of them,
In
too.
here, Captain. He was in the loft. He called down to me, then he come down himself.
Patchen up there, too, boy?
No, sir. No, sir, he run. I don't know how far. I don't know how long ago. Captain, I don't know nothing.
You stay with him, Gorse. I'm going to find Patchen.
Yes, sir.
No, Captain, don't you leave yet. You hear me out, will you, please?
Sergeant Gorse will hear you out.
Patchen's got everything, Captain. He's got himself every kind of gun you ever saw. His and mine. All we could buy is steel. He's going to be waiting for you, Captain.
I hope he is.
Oh, you got to know my shame. It don't seem now it could have happened to me. It worked on me so slow, I didn't even know it was happening. But I know now. I feel all the ugly shame of it.
Talking's not much good now, Drury.
I ain't talking to save myself, Captain. I know that ain't right. I know it can't be. I'm talking to understand. And for you to know I'm crawling with the shame of it.
The crawling's uglier than the shame, boy.
come alone, Quince?
I'm alone, Patchen.
That'd be your way, wouldn't it? Big, brave, alone. You must be the bravest man there is, Quince.
Come on down, Patchen.
I ain't coming down. I waited too long for this. I'm staying right here, and you're staying right there.
You got plenty water?
Understand, I ain't aiming for you, Quince. I'm just trying out my arsenal. That was my pistol.
You're never gonna last without water, Patchen.
I got 2 canteens, mine and Drury's.
You could hit me if you tried good. You got a reason for not killing me, Patchen?
That last was my rifle. I got me a buffalo gun off the settler, blow you clean away. You wouldn't even leave no spot, Quince.
Come on down.
We're gonna do this slow, Captain. Just you and me. Maybe my shots will get a little closer to you from time to time. We'll keep it slow a while. I want you to die a long time, Quince. 5 days and 5 nights of dying. Remember, Quince?
I remember. You want me to die, all right. Long time of dying. But you aren't the man to kill me, Patchen.
You ain't coming after me. You ain't that brave, Quince.
Don't take a brave man to come after you, Patchen. Just takes a man.
I hated you a long time. If I have to, I could hate you dead.
You hate yourself, Patchen. Wouldn't feel good killing me. You'd still have yourself.
You're gonna kill me? That what you coming to do? Kill me? Please. Please don't kill me.
I'm not gonna kill you, Patchen. Wouldn't feel good. Killing a coward. Get up.
Fort Laramie is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and stars Raymond Burr as Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry, with Vic Perrin as Sergeant Gorse. The script was specially written for Fort Laramie by Kathleen Height, with sound patterns by Bill James and Ray Kemper. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Featured in the cast were Sam Edwards, Paul Duboff, James Nusser, and Herb Vigran. Jack Moyles is Major Daggett, and Harry Bartell is Lieutenant Seiberts.
Company, attention! Dismiss.
Next week, another transcribed story of the Northwest frontier and the troopers who fought under Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry. Each year, new automobiles come equipped with new and better devices for safety and comfort. But there's one device for comfort and safety that you'll have to manufacture for yourself no matter how advanced our technology becomes, and that device is a smile. A sense of humor and a friendly attitude toward other drivers on the highway is sure to earn courtesy and consideration in return. And courtesy and consideration are big safety factors on the highway. Check the gas, the oil, and make sure you've brought along your smile.
Yeah, road rage never to get you any good. That's bad. That's bad. Alrighty, that episode of Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr, 68 years ago, July 15th, 1956, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Hope you'll visit the webpage, classicradio.stream. Up next, let's go see what's going on with Claudia and the baby.
Planning a trip overseas? I'm Terry Gibbs, and being an entertainer, I make international trips pretty often. And now, thanks to the U.S. Customs Service, blind travelers can get important information about making U.S. returns a lot easier. That's because Travel Hints is now available on audio cassette or in Braille. For your free copy, ask your regional library or write International Travel, U.S. Customs Service, Washington, D.C., 20229.
And let's wrap up this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox with an episode of the soap opera Claudia. This goes back 76 years to July 15th, 1948.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Dum, dum, da-dum, dum. It isn't even raining, Mama.
And why should it be raining?
Oh, I don't know. It'd all be so much more dramatic if it were raining today. I bet you if this were a movie, it'd be raining.
As a matter of fact, it rained the day I brought you home from the hospital.
You see? This sunny weather, this cool breeze is much too perfect. Things just don't happen like this.
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Claudia. We'll have enough trouble getting you and all your luggage home without asking for a storm.
Don't forget the baby. He's the nicest piece of luggage I ever had. Probably the most expensive.
Do you ever think of anything but money?
I don't think about money much, except how easily it goes.
Well, tend to our packing for a minute. I'd like to get it done before David gets here.
What's the problem now?
I've got too many pieces for the puzzle. They don't all fit.
Well, that's funny. Everything fit when I came in. Things even rattled. I certainly did well with perfume, didn't I?
I think you had a baby for the presents you'd received.
We'll make a separate bundle, Mama. That's what we'll do.
I can just see us going home. Now, what about these 6 nightgowns?
You'd look lovely in them, all at once.
Thank you very much. I never accept hand-me-downs.
This is a hand-me-up. Just look at all this lace. Say, maybe I can take it off and make a blouse of it. Or use it to trim that old blue serge of mine.
You'll do nothing of the sort.
But I hate nightgowns.
Oh, well, keep the nightgowns.
Yes. I'm greedy.
Now, what about these books?
I haven't read them yet.
Do you ever intend to?
No.
Then let's leave them here.
I should say not. We've got rows and rows of empty bookshelves on the farm. So, I'll keep the books.
I wish I'd thought to bring a trunk. Here, give me that wrapping paper and string.
Yes, ma'am. Say, you got yourself pretty dressed up this morning, Mrs. Brown.
Nonsense. This is my usual hat.
Usual for occasions.
I'm trying to wear it out.
You will wear it. Out.
Oh, Claudia.
You're right. This is pretty much of an occasion. I wish I'd brought a hat to wear.
It's not the hat that makes the occasion.
No, but it helps. I wonder what it'll be like.
What, the hat?
Us being all together again. You, David, me, with the baby.
It'll be all right. Well, that's the best I can do about the packing. David can take the suitcase and this bundle of books, and I'll carry the nightgowns and the perfume.
And the radio.
And the bed jackets and the blanket
And
cover.
I will carry the baby.
We'll see about that.
Of course I'll carry him. Who else is going to?
I'll tie him up with the books, and David can carry both in one hand.
Here, let's pile everything up neatly by the door.
Claudia, put down that suitcase.
Oh, darling, you're here.
Put down that suitcase.
Oh, I didn't even know I was holding it. All right, all right. Don't get so excited. I'll put it down.
Utter little imbecile.
Is that all you have to say to me?
No, I have more. But it'll wait till we get home. Picking up a suitcase.
But I've had the baby. How long does this nonsense go on?
What are we going to do with her, Mother?
I think we'll tie her to the bedpost.
David, why do you look so warm?
Because it's snowing out.
It's wonderfully cool up here in my ivory tower. There's even a breeze.
Well, you better pack it up with the baby. We'll be able to use that breeze at home.
I'll go down the hall and see if the nurse is ready with my grandson.
Her grandson. Listen to how possessive she is.
Well, he is, isn't he?
A mere coincidence, Mama.
I wouldn't exactly call it that, but we'll discuss it later. David, get her to sit down, will you? She's been on my neck all the morning.
Now, you heard Mama. Sit down. And not on my neck.
All right, Grumpy. Did you bring the car?
It's downstairs. I managed to park it right around the corner from the hospital.
That was lucky. David, do I look funny?
Not any funnier than usual. Why?
Thank you. Well, I feel funny in these clothes.
You look all right in them.
Gee, thanks, mister.
Nothing at all.
I haven't had this dress on since last year.
You look just like yourself again. Skinny malink.
Oh,
What did you expect?
an improvement.
No such luck.
I'm starting to feel just like myself, too.
Oh.
What did you expect?
An improvement? Come on, darling, cheer up. You're perfect just the way you are for
I
me.
better be. Because the way I are seems to be pretty final.
Good. Just think, in another few days, we're going to be back up to the farm.
You'll like that, won't you?
It'll be good.
Be more of a farm, too, won't it? Now that we have something to raise. I'm glad we bought the farm. It's really like going home.
You're going to be pretty busy, little girl.
Never too busy.
We have a lot ahead of us, darling.
And a lot behind us. The best part is ahead.
That's the way I like to hear you talk.
I just hope I can live up to it. I really haven't known what it's like having a baby so far. Everything's so neatly taken care of for me. This hospital's so efficient. The nurses know so well what they're doing. I've been like Lady Godiva in her tower.
I think you were thinking of Lady somebody else.
Well, you know who I mean. I feel as if I sort of lost touch. I haven't had to think about anything or do anything. I've been just like a turtle.
Well?
Now I've got to come out of this nice, safe shell. David, I'm an awful coward. I didn't mind coming to the hospital at all, but now I
know. I feel a little of the same way bringing my whole family home. We're really going to come to grips with life from now on.
You understand everything, don't you?
No. Except about you. You are an open book.
What's the next chapter?
And they lived happily ever after.
If only my knees didn't feel so wobbly still.
Oh, once you're out of here and home, everything will be different.
Hope so. Oh, where is Mama? Why doesn't she come back?
Is everything ready to go?
Everything.
What are we taking with us?
Everything.
All of this bath powder?
Certainly. I've stopped taking baths in water. I'm going to take them in powder from now on.
Well, you'll have to use up this stuff.
Oh, now it's not as much as it looked, darling.
Oh, no. I just had to make six trips to the car and back.
Oh, you and Mama. Robbing me of all my hard-earned presents.
Mission accomplished. Everything set.
Is the baby dressed warmly enough?
David, she begins. Doesn't she think anybody has a brain in their head?
She's judging by herself, Mama.
You didn't answer my question. Is he dressed warmly enough?
No, we're going to let him freeze. It's all of 90 out.
Settle? Well, forward march.
1, 2, 1. Now, let me see. How will we work this? I could hang this strap around my neck.
Yes?
Tie the books to the end of it.
Oh, fine.
And carry the suitcase on my head, and carry this package in my hand, and put this bottle in my vest pocket, and carry this little bundle in my left hand.
Why don't you give the baby something to carry? He's a man, isn't he?
I wish he were. Claudia, this is impossible.
Nothing is impossible, my lad, if you set your mind to it.
But this isn't my mind, it's my back.
Well, that'd be even easier for you.
Now we are even.
We better hurry. Miss Kavanagh is waiting at the elevator with the baby.
Let him wait a little. We waited long enough for him. Now, where is my pocket?
I've got it.
After you, Mother. We're off.
Oh, here. Let me take those flowers.
Can't I carry something?
You carry yourself.
There's so little of me left to carry.
Meet you at
Carry
the elevator.
me back
And don't
to-
dawdle.
Coming?
Yes, I'm coming. I'm just taking a last look before I shut the door behind me.
You'll be safe, darling. I'll see to that.
I'm ready now. You make a pretty picture. Loaded like a burro.
Because you're such a greedy little girl.
Compliments, compliments. Oh, there's Mom at the end of the hall.
Oh, and what is the small bundle in her arm?
Oh, some cheap little thing I picked up here while I was at the hospital.
Want to leave it behind?
Well, it will clutter up the house,
No,
won't it?
no
But,
doubt, no doubt.
Since we have him, we might as well just take him along.
I wish you had hired a nurse to come home with us.
Oh, Mom would resent a nurse. She'd feel as if she weren't earning her way.
Well, she can give us our money back.
Well, you two finally made it.
Can you see me under all of this load?
Your ears are sticking out.
Well, hang something on them.
I'll carry the cause of all this trouble, Mama. Oh, look at him. How's he ever going to know I'm his mother if I never carry him? Look at him, David. His face all scrunched up. Oh. Smile, you dope. You're going home.
Everything's all set. Now, you're sure you don't want a wheelchair, Mrs. Norton?
Me in a wheelchair? Look, I've been walking for years. Miss Kavanagh, you've been very kind. We certainly have appreciated everything you've done.
Oh, I've enjoyed it, Mrs. Norton. You've been a fine patient, and he's a good baby.
Well, the last half of that is true.
Mama.
Has anybody rung for the elevator? I can only last about another 2 minutes of this.
David, you look so silly. Have you got a match?
Very funny, very funny. Humorous.
How'd you like to be tickled?
If you touched me, I'll put you back in the
Oh,
hospital.
darling, I don't think it's fair to make you carry all this home.
Too late now. If I dropped one thing, I'd come apart like a house of cards.
Miss Kavanagh, you know, my husband isn't a very strong man, and he just hates carrying bundles. Just look at him. He's wilting, poor man.
Ring that elevator bell.
So if you'd like to do him a favor, Miss Kavanagh, after all, since he ought to save his strength.
What are you driving at, Claudia? We haven't got time.
Just a minute, Grandma. I'm just trying to make things easier for David.
Yes, Mrs. Norton.
Please take all these things, take them up to the wards, and pass them around.
All of this?
Yep, I won't need them. Perfume, books, bath powder, nightgowns, bed jackets. It's all behind me now. Take them and give them away. For Mr. Norton's sake.
Well, that's very kind of you. I'm sure they'll be appreciated.
By David, most of all. Here, darling, put everything down. Elevator can take it upstairs.
That was a nice thing to do, darling.
You look so tired, David.
Well, all right. If that's the reason you want to give.
It wasn't so nice of me. It's just lazy. I just couldn't face having to find a place to store all this stuff away.
That still isn't the whole reason, Mrs. Norton.
I don't think it is either, Mother.
Well, maybe it isn't. It's just that, I don't know, it seems that without anything else, with just the little bundle Mama's holding, we still have so much more than when we came.
You know, on giving it about 6 thoughts, I've decided that, well, you're not such a bad girl. You know that?
I don't know. Anyway, whether I'm good or bad, there's no credit to this, David. Giving's so easy when you've received so much. Oh, darling, I have so much. Let's go home.
If you're like so many women, you eat a pretty sketchy lunch when you're home alone. I'll tell you how you can make lunchtime refreshment time. Add ice-cold Coca-Cola to your noonday menu. You'll find that Coke gives a party air to any meal, and it's so easy.
All you have to do is keep plenty of Coke on ice. You don't even need a glass. Open the bottle, and delicious, welcome refreshment awaits you.
Oh, Joe. Joe, I just wanted to say goodbye to you before we left for home.
Well, goodbye, David, and good luck.
You mean we still need it?
More than ever.
That bodes no good.
According to my experience with a new member of the family, things really start percolating when you get home.
Oh, I see.
For instance, have you faced the facts of a baby feeding schedule?
Hmm?
Yes, 10 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
I'm starting to see what you mean.
Well, you'll see even better what I mean at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. So go home, David, and catch 40 winks while you can, will
Thanks
you?
for the tip. So long, Joe.
Goodbye, David. See you tomorrow at 2 in the morning. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney.
There you have it from 76 years ago, July 15th, 1948. Claudia, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A subtle, sweet, gentle show that has its poignant moments. You got to enjoy it. Tomorrow on the program, Dangerous Assignment, Boston Blackie, I Was a Communist for the FBI, The Whistler, and Superman. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you for joining us. Tell your friends about the podcast. Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.